You're listening to the God Stories Radio podcast with Fritz, Mike, and Tina, bringing hope, comfort, and encouragement through the power of the Christian testimony. Listen live on the Mixlr app and follow us on your favorite platform, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, and radio.com. Stay connected with us on Facebook and Twitter at God Stories Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to this edition of God Stories Radio 2020. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike.
And I'm not Tina.
No, that's the voice of Mr. Ray Flannery sitting in for Tina tonight.
Well, thank you all for having me once again. I know I can't contribute as well or as deeply as Tina does, but I'll do my best.
As well or as deeply?
She's deep. She's great. She's an amazing addition.
Good questions.
Yeah, she's pretty smart.
I love the way she highlights, she just pays attention. And
yeah, you see her book over there. I mean, she's steady writing and taking notes. And, she's way above my pay grade.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on over there, Mikey?
It's 2020.
That it is.
A new year.
Yeah, glad to be here. And we got a full house in here tonight.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And we have with us Dennis. Dennis, how do you say your last name?
It's Huff.
Huff. Dennis Huff.
That was
from
easy.
A firm. Consulting.
Correct.
Yeah. Christian-based business. Consulting firm established on godly principles and a passion to help small and mid-sized businesses. So he's here tonight as a special guest and a new sponsor for God Stories Radio.
All right.
Love it. So he's going
to
talk a bit about what they do. And but first, I need to hear from Mikey. What's going on?
It's a new year.
Well, yeah. What else is going on? Are you out on the dating scene? Are you putting your number out there? Are you letting anybody know that you're available?
Have you gotten out of your aisle?
I have not.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm telling you, I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, and I prayed some more. And I told God that he was going to choose because I've been married twice, and I did not do a good job. So I put it in his hands, and that's what I'm waiting on.
All right. Okay. I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Me neither.
She going to just roll up in a caddy and knock on your door and go, the Lord told me to.
He's going to
told me to stop here.
He'll know.
He'll know. I know.
I think I will. But you think about those little scenarios, and a couple times that has popped up. One of these times I'm going to answer the door. Oh, I'm supposed to stop here. That was one of the things that popped in my head, but that ain't going to happen.
Well, we have a lot of things that pop in our head.
Yeah, really.
I'm glad I ignore most of them in my particular case anyway.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Once God hands him over to her, he's going to have to convince her, though.
That's true.
That'll be the trick.
Well, you should have heard all the adjectives I prayed for. I don't think there was anything left.
I've heard some of them. You've told us. You've told us a couple of them.
Yeah, I know a few.
So anyway.
Well, all righty then.
How was your New Year's?
It was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, those of you that know what's been going on, some of you don't. I've had some personal issues that have been going on, and it's hoping God shows up and shows off. I mean, I'm totally out of control. What I mean is, I know I'm out of control, but I mean, I have no control in this situation, and I have to believe that God is vested in the situation, and he's going to make good, make a way where there seemingly is no way.
Absolutely.
Amen to that.
Praying for that to happen.
That's right. So, well, we got any shout outs over there tonight?
We do. We absolutely do. Facebook likes. We have D. Bellavati.
D, thank you. Welcome to the GSR family.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for being part of the GSR family. And we have Lee Phillips.
Lee Phillips, thank you so much. Welcome to the GSR family.
Yes, welcome. And then Wendell Portillo.
Wendell, thank you.
Yes, thank you for liking us on Facebook. And anyone else out there, if you have not liked us yet on Facebook, please do so we don't have that awkward.
Yeah, I don't want to play the crickets, but I'll do it.
Uh-huh.
I've been waiting for
I'll
it.
cue them up. I know you. It will happen. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to our guests.
Oh, wait a minute. I have more.
What country?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No way.
Hang on.
Country number 107.
107.
Cuba.
Wow.
Cuba.
Nice.
Holy smokes. Well, welcome our brothers and sisters in Cuba.
Welcome, Cuba. Thank you for listening to GSR.
Fantastic.
Now, think about that. 6 years, 6.5, going on 7, 107 countries.
Really, I know. It's nothing that we're doing. We have faces for radio, so it's like
You guys have truly let God lead this all.
Oh,
you know, from
it's all
this
him,
is his
trust
house.
me.
yeah,
No
from
doubt
day
about
one,
it.
you guys have always you can tell because it's like Fritz said earlier, out of your control.
It is.
He's
Completely.
just working it and working it and working it. God's doing amazing things in here, that's for sure.
And one thing he's done amazing is impressed on Dennis's heart to become a sponsor, which he has, and gave a generous gift, which will cover our taxes for this year, our filing of the taxes, and we so appreciate that. And I asked Dennis to come by and introduce himself and maybe talk a little bit about what he does.
Thanks, Fritz. So Affirm Consulting started through a lot of prayer. I actually fought it every step of the way to go start my own business. Had been mentoring businesses for about 12 years and kept having people say, you need to go do this full time. And I had a corporate job that paid very well and didn't seem like that was a good cliff that I wanted to step off of. But God had other plans. And so he has blessed us every step of the way. We're working on 5 years in business. We work with small and mid-stage companies that help them grow and scale their business, whether it be the business owner or the leadership team. Everything we do is based on godly principles, and we've had great successes with that. We also have an office in Knoxville, Tennessee, so we have clients there as well. So I do a lot of traveling. Get to meet lots of wonderful people in doing that as well.
Fantastic.
But so one of the key principles, or the 3 key principles that we build off of, is dream big, embrace the process, and affirm the way. So Affirm Consulting, affirm the way. There's an affirmation piece there.
Sure.
And the affirm the way piece is really to get the business leaders to take on the values by which they stand for, and those are obviously Christian and godly based values. And so that's an investment not only in people but in your community. And as we looked at GSR, with just the mission space is just one that we want to be a part of. So glad to do that.
Amen to that, really.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put this out there by faith that Dennis has committed to giving his testimony.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's
Well,
going to come in
He
when the time is right.
He prayed.
He did.
All right. And he followed God. He didn't want to. He was, big, nice job and paycheck consistent each week. And now he's got to go on his own and, prayed about it and then following God. And here he is 5 years later. You follow God, he'll take you where you want to go. Or he wants you.
He will order your steps.
Yes,
There's no doubt about it.
He will take you where he wants you.
It's a story to tell, not because it's mine, but he has led us, both my wife and I, every step of the way, and it's just it's phenomenal. I mean, it's a phenomenal story to tell. I'd be glad to come back at some time and do exactly that.
Well, we'll book it tonight.
Make it happen.
We're not scared.
Tina, you listening?
I think Tina's on.
And what?
Oh yeah, hey Tina, Janelle, and Robert Herman.
Robert.
Welcome, guys, on the Mixler. I hope you guys are having fun at Disney.
Oh no,
have at it.
And what is that? If anybody else wants to book their testimony, what's that email address for them?
GodStoriesRadioTina@gmail.com. Or if you just want to drop us a line, GodStoriesRadio@gmail.com. A lot of times we've read testimonies.
We have.
We've talked about different stints in people's days.
It's a God story.
It's a God story.
Right.
But we love us some testimonies, and we love when people can come like Dennis did and and Ray and his lovely wife, who we've been trying to get in here for a while.
Yeah, he let me out of the house.
She's very busy. I'm not believing that he lets you do anything, knowing you.
I'm told what she's doing.
But Dennis, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and be with us and sit in and tell us a little bit about Affirm Consulting and what you do. And man, we're so excited to have you as part of the GSR family. Thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the testimony.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, Mikey, who do we got?
We have Ray and Sarah Flannery.
You know that's right.
And
power couple.
yes. Well, we're friends on Facebook and everything else. And, we're always looking to, for a way to get someone on God Stories Radio. And Ray's been on a few times, at our anniversary. And he's sat in a couple times as a co-host when either I or Tina couldn't be here. And I saw, it was back in August that they were celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary.
Get out of town. 20th?
Yes.
20 years.
And you look at them and you would think that there's no way, especially Sarah. But
I know. She's, 18 now?
20th wedding anniversary, and the thought went through my head that, we need to have someone on. Because 20, even in 20 these days is still pretty big. Going 20 years being married.
There's not a whole lot of people that can have that to their credit.
So I just thought it would be great to have them in and just kind of run us through it.
Wonderful. Well, welcome, guys, to the show.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, this has been the shortest 20 years of my life.
Aw.
It has, really. It's flown by. Like she was saying earlier, we looked at some pictures, back when we got married, and we're like, oh my gosh, what were we thinking?
What were our parents thinking?
Yeah. They
Well, when things are right, they're just right. What the Lord puts together, let no man put us under.
Absolutely.
That's the truth. It's funny because when we first met, she was working at the same place that I was working. She was working as a receptionist. And I knew from day one that there was something about this one.
Always after the hot receptionist.
Well, yeah. But the funniest part was I couldn't look her in the eyes. Growing up, I had no problem walking around talking to people. I'm a people person. I could talk to anybody, look them in the eyes, walk up to them, shake their hand. With her, it was like, it was just, I had no idea. But after that, I had to figure out how I was going to convince her to say yes. So I spent, quite some time doing that.
And we're going to find that out tonight. Or?
I don't know if she's willing to divulge.
You guys have come in here with notes and books. It's quite scary.
We're nerds, I know.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Well, I just wanted to start out by saying, we are not marriage counselors. We are not,
We're still learning.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll learn until death do us part.
Amen to that, buddy. Amen to that.
And that's one of the biggest things is it's always changing. It's never the same. Where we were 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago is not the same as it is today.
No.
It's constantly changing.
As soon as you think you got it figured out, God goes, watch this.
Yeah, you're exactly right because, if you ever use the C word, comfortable, watch out.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Well, that and the devil tries throwing jabs at you when you're trying to do something good. So every time we would go to facilitate a class, we would basically prepare. It's like, we know that they're going to, here they come. The little bickering and the little arguing and the little jabs here and there. We knew it was going to happen. And part of, I think, I guess you could say success, is it's all God and knowing that he's on our side and that he's in control of it all.
Amen.
No matter what.
Right.
But then being able to identify the jabs, the devil trying to sneak in there, the sooner you identify.
That's half the battle right there.
Well, it is. And not only that, Satan's out to get both of you, but more so the female. He wants to get to the female.
But he's not the author of anything. You can recognize the pattern.
That's it.
Of the devil, and you go, oh, please.
That's
really?
Exactly.
That's old.
There was
been there, done that. Got a T-shirt.
when we first took 2B1. Let's start there. We'll take these different marriage classes, one of them being 2B1 and the other one being Love After Marriage. And I'll never forget the first time we were taking 2B1. I mean, devil was working, right? And I'm doing the homework and I am getting mad. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find the verse. I'm looking in her Bible. It's one verse, a student Bible. It's another thing.
Another version.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm getting angry. I mean, I'm literally getting angry. And then it clicked. I'm like, oh, devil, you ain't winning tonight. You are not winning. I'm like, I got this. And it was just that identification of what it was.
Sure. Exactly.
It was huge.
It's part of the battle.
There's really nothing new under the sun with him.
Well, the first thing we did, it was a couple years after we got married, I think. It was The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. We read that.
We actually got that as a wedding gift.
But it took us a couple of years to get around to reading it because he's not a big reader. And I'm like, well, I'm not reading it by myself. So.
Gary Chapman's awesome.
Yeah. Great book.
I've referred that to many, many people.
Yeah.
It gives you the answers, really. You know?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just for, certain couples. It's for everybody. Everybody can get something from it. So
for those who aren't familiar with the 5 love languages, Gary Chapman's book, there basically are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, or physical touch. So typically, most people will have one significant love language, and then they'll have a secondary one.
Sure.
So when we first got married, we knew our love languages, and we worked with them. And then after, I guess it was about 15 years before we did Love After Marriage, we did it again. We went back through and answered the questions again, and they changed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And we just did that last year.
Was it last year?
It was just last year.
So we realized that they had changed. Now, my primary one stayed the same, but my secondary one changed completely. And I think both of hers changed.
Yeah, they did.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
they did.
So it's not something that, like she said, you can't just go, okay, we're good, we got this, no problem. You gotta stay on it. You gotta
Sure.
Oh yeah.
constantly work with it.
Oh yeah.
The only thing is constant is the change.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's it, exactly. But yeah, so you heard a little bit of the beginning, of our marriage, which was 20 years ago, going on 21. So yeah, she's over here shaking her head. She's like, "Oh my gosh," And it's been a struggle ever since. We had to, before we got married, we had to do 3. We were supposed to do 3 counsel sessions. Yeah. And the pastor that we were meeting with after the first one was like, "Man, you guys are old souls." He's like, "You guys are just you're wise beyond your years." And he gave us some information, some stuff to pay attention to and listen to, and we took it and just worked with it. It's not easy. It's never easy. We're just full of grace, really.
I mean, it was hard in the beginning because when we took 2B1, we found out I can't remember where in the Bible it said, but it said you're not supposed to be apart the first year you're married. And we're like, well, we messed that up because he was gone 6 months.
Right.
Oh wow.
The first year we were married. So
back in the days, they stayed together for a whole first year.
Yep.
Yeah, the first 9 months we were married, I spent 6 months in Miami.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so she had come right out of her parents' house. We got married. She moved in with me, and I left. Work sent me out, for 6 months.
Can I ask a personal question?
Yeah.
First marriage?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's
I got you till you're dead.
Yeah, it's amazing. We were talking about it on the way here, and a lot of it really, I think, is having a lot of people to look up to. A lot of godly people, a lot of wisdom, and that's one thing we do is that when we're struggling with something, we'll seek our elders and we'll ask them. I'll ask her dad, or I'll ask my dad. We would ask my grandparents when they were around, just to get their wisdom, you know.
Well, your grandparents had been married like 62 years when we got married. So even our DJ was like, if you have any questions, those are the people you talk to.
Yeah. So 62 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my parents got married very young. They were married at 18, started married life right away. Kids, 3 kids by the time they're 23.
Right.
And I was like, and they're still together too. They've been together now. I figured it out just not too long ago, but 46 years, 47 years. We've been together like 47 years.
I don't know why I'm shocked, but you just never hear this stuff anymore.
It's sad.
It really is.
But especially with somebody being married that young.
Yeah,
they were 18.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got married, she was 19, I was 23. So that was pretty young to start with.
Wow, yeah.
As well. Much younger for her than for me, but I was actually the last one in my family to get married.
Wow.
I'm the middle child.
That's fantastic.
My parents told us, take your time, wait, just hang out and wait. And I ended up being the last one in the family to get married.
But we had it a little different than most people do at that age. You already had a house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't like we did the apartment thing and all that. He was already, had a great job, settled into a house, and his parents actually moved in with him because they were having a house built. Right. So that was a little interesting for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was before we got married, but...
there's not too many people that can tell their parents, hey, you're going to live under my roof. You're going to go by my rules. That was actually really fun. My dad just kind of looked at me like, yeah, right.
That ain't funny.
Really?
That ain't funny.
Really?
Yeah.
She's talking about Willis.
I told him, I'm like, hey, I had to say it. How many kids get to tell their parents that?
Just had to throw it out there.
That's living the dream, man.
Yeah. But kind of like Dave was saying, David, right?
Dennis.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm horrible with names,
That's
Dennis.
fine.
I'm so sorry. Dennis was saying earlier that, you have that cushy job and you have, what you want, and then God kind of takes you out of that. My first job that bought that house and did all that stuff took me away from my wife for 6 months, solid. And after that job, I came back and I told her, I said, I'm quitting. I was like, I'm leaving. She's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, but this is not what God wants, period. It's not. And even back then, Mikey and I were talking that I was what I would consider a weed Christian at that point, which means on the outside, I was all gung-ho and things were going, but I had no roots. I didn't have any real foundation in it whatsoever. But Sarah grew up in the church. She had the foundation. So when I told her that I was leaving, I was like, this is not what God wants. This is, we're to be together, not to be like this. So I left, and we figured, God, he just kept providing the way. He just kept, job after job after job after job, and then finally settled me in where he wanted me. And I tried to do it my own way a couple times. I'm going to go over here. And he made it known really quick. Nope, this is not where I want you. And then provided another door.
That's funny because when I was with Disney, I tried to leave Disney. I tried to take any job, and he would slam the door, slam the door. And then that's how I ended up at Sun State working for Kyle Fulmer. And I said, been playing drums at this church, and he goes, oh yeah, where's that? And I said, First United Methodist Church. He goes, oh yeah, I'm on the board of elders there, and he was on the trustees, and he says, that's our home church. Our kids go to school there. I went, really? And then it just all from there. And then the church offered me a job, and Kyle gives me the blessing, and it's like, what a setup from God. But, he slams those doors, immediately, because you think that's the best move.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
without her, she's the one who, during those weed times of my life where, I thought I was acting like a Christian, doing everything like a Christian, but without that foundation, she kept telling me, she's like, no. She's like, God's got a plan. God's got a plan. He's doing something. He's doing something.
There's something we're supposed to be learning here. We can't move forward until we learn something, from this. So
right.
I was like, hurry up and learn it.
Was that kind of maturity just instilled in both of you from a young age, or was that kind of spiritual maturity learned over time?
I think mine was learned, but I grew up in a Christian school.
Okay.
and church. So I think like he said, my foundation was more firm than his because he wasn't raised in the church until you were 18 you started going?
A little later than that. It was probably 19 or 20.
Yeah. So see, and he even said, if you knew me before I became a Christian, you wouldn't want to have anything to do with me. So God knew what he was doing.
I tell my wife Tina that all the time. You would not have liked me.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't just that. She's like, what if we met earlier and we would have started our lives earlier and we could have done this?
Dennis is like,
yeah, that's it exactly, Dennis. I looked at her and went, honey, if you'd have known me any earlier, we would not be together.
No, it wouldn't be happening.
No way. Just like you're telling me God's got a plan. He had a plan for us because we used to go, I grew up in Ocoee. She grew up in Pine Hills.
6 miles apart.
Right. And
wow.
Yeah.
Back then there was nothing in Ocoee. You had to go to Pine Hills for everything.
True.
So we, went shopping at the same stores. We did everything in the same area for 15 years, 20 years, and never once crossed paths. But the company that I was working for at the time was a Christian-owned company, and they went to church with her parents,
right?
And I had nothing, didn't know anything about them, didn't know them at all, and ended up getting a job there, and then I ended up meeting her dad and her uncle in Thailand.
Oh, wow. Thailand?
Yeah. We're
just down the street.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're doing a job in Thailand, and he got contracted. Her dad was contracted by the owner because they all went to church together.
Well, my dad and my uncle are electricians, so
Right.
they needed electricians to, what were they doing, Safari World, a theme park?
Right.
In
They were doing a
Thailand?
jungle cruise ride,
Yeah.
and they needed, her dad worked for Florida Power at the time.
Right.
And they needed heavy work done. So he was in there doing all the big cabling and stuff. And her uncle did the lighter work, houses and stuff like that. So he was doing the other work. So I meet them in Thailand. I start talking to him and hanging out and so on and so forth. And then when we come back from Thailand, I was in Thailand for, I think, a total of 6 months. Mm-hmm. Her uncle and her dad were there for a month.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah, something like that. So we come back and we realized that we go to the same church.
Just on a different night.
On a different night. I went on a Friday night and they went on Sunday.
Morning, yeah.
You had to go to Thailand
Exactly.
to learn that fact. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not in the church bulletin.
No. Not
You guys couldn't have met at West Oaks at the pretzel shop or something.
Right.
Exactly.
Thailand.
There was a Chick-fil-A at West Oaks.
Right?
We could have met there.
I mean, that was the place back in the day.
It was.
The funniest part is, though, is usually you meet the girl, right? And you get to know the girl. And then you got to try to impress the parents. Mm-hmm. Well, I met the dad first, and then I had to impress the girl.
So you were pre-impressed.
I was pre-impressed.
There you go.
Exactly. You got it. Her dad said, too, he said, the funniest thing is, because I asked her father for her hand in marriage. And again, this is 20 years ago. And I asked her father for her hand in marriage. And he told me, he says, yes, of course, no problem. He says, it was always my biggest fear that my daughter would fall in love with a man with tattoos and earrings.
And he had both.
And I had both. He goes, but I never would have thought a man with tattoo and earrings would be as, stand up as you. I was like, wow, thank you,
Didn't even play guitar or anything like that? Like drummer? Or?
No, not at all. Not at all. Just slightly rebellious. Just a little rebellious. My dad saw my first tattoo and he goes, well, it's not the dumbest thing you've ever done. Thanks, Dad.
That's just old school parentry there for you. My dad would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
What the heck are you thinking?
But yeah, so all the way from the very beginning, it was kind of reversed because then shortly after that, she started working for the company. After I'd come back from Thailand, she started working with a company, and that's when I realized at that moment that she was the one. And I realized that I had to convince her.
I did not get that message right away.
She will tell him. You tell him what you thought of me.
You really want me to? No, I thought he was cocky. He would just strut by my desk every day, and I'm just like, who does he
I don't know where you would have got that from.
I know.
It's like a peacock. You got to show the feathers, man. You got to throw them out there.
I was not impressed.
Told you I had to convince her.
I know it. You had to go to Thailand to get pre-impressed and then come back and convince her. So the real battle had just begun.
Oh, that's it. That was the very beginning. It's funny because when people see us together, we're very opposite. And a lot of ladies that she volunteers with and stuff at the church, for a while, nobody had seen me. Because we both volunteer at the church. We just do completely different things. And they had a Christmas dinner thing for the curriculum prep and for the volunteers that she was doing. So they brought me, and several of the ladies she worked with were looking at me like who this? No,
he's with her.
Yeah,
Why?
they're like,
doesn't make sense.
that can't be Ray. That's not Ray. But then when they see us interact, when they see us communicate and everything, then they realize, oh, okay, now I get it.
It all makes sense then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm just a big clown. I just,
Hey, you're in good company there, bro.
Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
all right, you've been married for 20 years. So what's the 1, 2, 3 step?
What's the secret sauce?
Yeah, really.
The 3 ways to the 7 steps to the 6.
God, communication, and dying to self. Those would be the three big things.
Trust falls in there too.
Yeah.
Being able to trust each other.
Yeah, and I think that's in the communication category. I think a lot of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're both focused on God, you're both heading in the right direction.
Amen to that.
Absolutely.
You're going to take different paths.
Right.
Her and I think completely opposite of each other.
Well, sure.
But if we're staying focused on God, he gets us both there.
Yep. And a lot of times we're saying the same exact thing, but in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to catch ourselves, and I think we're saying the same thing, but in a different way. So let's just nip that in the bud there.
Yeah. We got a famous saying to each other, because, and this falls under the communication part, is that a lot of times I'll say something that comes off completely wrong. I mean, like way wrong.
I've never done that.
Yeah. And one of our best things is she'll tell me, or if she says something that comes across wrong too, is, you want to chew that up and spit it out again? And then you realize, okay, that didn't come across the way it was supposed to come across.
But I recognize that because I know him, and I'm like, I know he didn't mean that.
So it gives me a second chance to step back, kind of think about it, and address it in a different manner. Because like you said, part of the trust stuff is that, okay, I know that's not what they're getting at, but they're trying to communicate, so let me give them another shot.
Right.
My wife's from the UK. She just cuts her eyes.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Oh, she gives you the look.
For
Got
rizzle?
it.
So focus on Christ, communication. Mm-hmm. What was the last one I said?
Die to self.
Die to self. That's
huge.
Oh, that is.
That is very huge. And that is probably one of the hardest ones.
Yeah, because a male's full of pride. I don't care what you say. We bring in pride to the table. And if you don't stroke the ego, a little bit,
that's it.
We got a problem.
And part of one thing that I've realized, for me, when it comes to dying to self, is that as a man, a lot of times, like when you look at these love languages and it tells you, what her love language is. So say her love language is quality time, which means she just wants to be there with you. So after a little while, you're kind of getting a little friction built up, and you're like, well, why am I going to give her what she wants when she's not giving me what I want? And that starts.
That's where
that
the third
divide.
one comes in.
Yeah, that starts that divide,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when and it's intentional, and you have to you pray about it and pray about it because God's the only one going to get you through it, because we're way too proud.
Amen.
So that's when you got to stop, pray about it, hit your knees, and then die to self and feel her love language. And then everything starts changing and everything starts falling in place again. Yep. It's not easy. Like we say, the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth, but try to follow it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't work unless you apply it.
The directions aren't hard.
Right.
They're written right there, but applying it, dying to self, staying faithful,
every day.
It's
the human part of it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We make it hard on ourselves.
Yep. That's it.
And then I don't expect him to just know. I communicate. And I tell him, because I know he's not a mind reader, because that's what women typically do. He should know. I just give him a look. He should know. But I know you don't know.
And I look at her and go, what am I supposed to know?
what do I do?
Tell me.
Did I forget something?
I've given my wife that deer in the headlights look so many times.
Back of the book.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't get that manual. What do I do?
Like, what?
I did. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to break it down for us males.
Yeah. And that's part of our communication is when we were first married, and I literally told her, I'm like, baby, you're going to have to tell me some of the most mundane stuff because I just won't get it. I'm going to do my best. But if I'm not getting it, just say, hey, dummy, here it is.
Very literal.
And then I'll do it. Then I'll start getting it, but there's going to be, times and I just absolutely will not get it.
I just love the saying, though. You want to chew that up, spit it back out.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, right?
Point taken.
I mean, that is a good one.
It is. Uh-huh. It is.
I mean, because that's letting you know, hey, I wasn't offended by what you said. Do you want to try it again?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
But most women will not go that way.
Nope.
I know one.
If anybody doesn't know, Tina did just walk in.
I know one that don't play.
And I'm thinking, listen to this, and I've been married twice, and again, saying stuff like, she knows that he didn't mean that, and she says that saying, right? And I know I didn't mean it too, but I've gotten over the years riddled with whatever you want, eye bullets or whatever else, because I said something, I know what I meant, but they don't take it that way, and then they take it to another level, and then now what? You're in trouble.
Yeah, but she brought up a very valid point, though, that women think on different stratosphere, and it's like, well, you should have known that. He should know. But we're like, duh.
But we don't. But then again,
know.
Like I said from the very beginning, that I let her know that look, I am not going to get a lot of the stuff you want me to get. I'm not going to understand. If you want to drop a hint about what you want for Christmas, you better just write exactly down what that is, and I'll make sure I get it.
Oh, it's a lot easier with Amazon. There's pictures and everything.
I told Tina just the other day, I said, women are unbelievable. And she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you can be in there vacuuming, listening to the radio, and hear every word I'm saying on a phone conversation in the other room and repeat what I said. Yep. And I'm like, how do you do that?
But you know what?
It's just the way they're wired.
It is.
It's unbelievable.
They pick it all up. Another thing that we have that we do and that we say is we'll tell each other is that if we've gotten into a spat and we're kind of at
not connecting.
Yeah, not connecting. That's a nice way to put it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, we're not connecting. See, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, exactly.
I pulled that out of the book.
We're getting ready. We're getting ready to connect.
Yeah. Where did you put the combination to the gun?
Where's that?
But a lot of times what we'll do is, if we're not connecting, that is very nice, is we'll tell each other, like, I'm like, I love you, honey. And she'll look at me and go, I love you too. I don't like you very much right now, but I do love you. So there's never that doubt. No, you know what I mean? You get it. You're
I don't like what you're doing, but I love you.
It's basically, okay, give her some time, and that's the other thing as far as the communication goes. If we start getting into a heated, discussion and not connecting, I can't say that, man. That's just so
too girly.
Hashtag not connected.
Yeah, if we start to get into an argument or whatever, we're good about going, okay, hey, we're not getting anywhere on this. Let's separate for
put a pin in it.
Yeah, sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, but we go apart and we think about what was happening, how you were feeling, and all that good stuff. I know it sounds kind of girly for the guys out there, but then when we come back together and we make it a point to always come back together and say, hey, you were coming across this way. This is what I was picking up. And hey, and then you figure it out.
But that's a hard learned trait for a male, because my wife's a processor.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that over time. And if we get into something that's really detailed and heated, we're males. We want to get in there. I'd rather you tell me off than to be quiet, And I've said that to her. I'd rather you just tell me off. Then I know where we stand. But that's a learned trait that she brings to the table that has taught me, leave it alone, drop it, come back to it. And this is why I'm so blessed to have a studio.
Yeah. So you can come out here.
I can come
My
out.
man cave.
I can come out here. I can leave her in there, and then we have time to think about it. And then
that's what you got to do.
She'll either come out or I'll go in, and we fix it. And then
but
that's hard.
It is because with guys, it's the anticipation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We end up having a conversation in our heads, about how it's going to happen when you have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
Did you say a conversation? Because I have multiple conversations in my head.
Exactly.
Okay, just making sure.
No, you're 100% correct, Dennis. That's the way it is. And we'll sit there and have this whole argument in our own head, going back and forth.
I fight with
she's
myself
going to
all
say
the time.
this, and I'm going to say that, and she's going to say this, and I'm going to say that, and then she's going to say this, and I'm going to say that. And that whole buildup and that whole anticipation. Then when they walk in the room, you're like, "Mah!" And they're like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be calm by now.
And that leads us to another one of the points from the study.
Doesn't when that happens, isn't the kind of like the thing that enters the head? I'm not going to give in. She's going to come first.
The pride.
Or she's
That's
going to
the
go.
pride,
I'm going to wait for
That's
him.
the dying to the self part, right
That's
there.
the dying to the self part.
Yep.
Another key factor, and it's in both of these studies, is your spouse is not your enemy.
Very much so.
And when you start looking at what you say and how you say it, then you'll start to kind of realize that, wait a minute, I'm treating her like she's my enemy. Like she's keeping me from doing something, or she's not letting me do something. So she is my enemy. Not, okay, why doesn't she want me to do this? Is it not good for the kids? Is it not good for me? Is it, what's going on? So that's another big key, is knowing and reminding yourself that your spouse is not your enemy.
Yeah, you've got to agree to disagree without being disagreeable.
Yep.
And that is hard for a male because we want the win. We're going for the win.
The big W.
Amen.
Give me the W.
And I tell him all the time, I put in too many years to retrain anybody else.
Yeah, we've had that exact conversation because both of us have been previously married. So, there's baggage and you bring, but some of it is actually good learned baggage because you don't want to repeat that. And you see it creep up and you go, no, I've had enough of that for a lifetime. And I've actually said that to her, we're not going there.
And that's the identifying. Identifying. The sooner you can identify things, the easier you can fix them. Because if you don't identify them, quickly, it starts that wedge. And the longer you leave that wedge, the further apart you get.
You bet. Every time.
So, and his grandfather, I'll never forget, we watched every anniversary, we watch our wedding video. And, the people go around the reception and they say something nice about the bride and the groom and well wishes and all that. And his grandfather forgot my name. And his grandma's on the, off to the side telling him my name. But what he said was, don't let the ripples on the sea of matrimony turn into a hurricane and you'll be all right.
Wow.
And that was the most
strong words.
Yeah, the most profound thing. And I was like, you remember that? You'll be all right.
Put that in your thinker.
And he was in the Navy, so that that was a twofold.
Oh, good sea sayings. You love it.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Like I said earlier, we actually had a lot of I say we had an advantage because we had a lot of people that we could look up to.
Right.
A good roadmap.
We have parents that were married for 62 years.
Right.
Your own parents that were married for 46.
Right.
So, you get.
And her parents who've been married for 40. Yeah. 40 years. So, So we've had a lot of good roadmap, to follow by, a lot of good, like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It's very similar when it comes to marriage.
Absolutely.
Because you got to have people that you can go to and touch on. I mean, one of the other big things about marriage is finances.
Oh, yeah.
So Sarah and I do a lot of
several of those.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. We've done several financial courses, Compass. We've done FPU, Crown Ministries. And finances are a huge part. And
that's probably the biggest thing that has a marriage breakup is what it's for, where it comes from is that.
Yeah.
I believe that is the number one cause of divorce.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our marriage by any means is not perfect. Any means.
No. We're still working.
Constant struggles. You know what I mean?
You're working out that salvation.
Yeah.
Yeah. God's about to throw us into something else. We're getting ready to build a house. So
we're not connecting. We're still working out that salvation.
Right.
Yes.
Well, being married and having two people starting to live together as one, and that's tough enough. But then when you have that on the left shoulder,
right,
trying to take you out, that makes it even tougher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the very beginning, like she said, when we first got married, I had a great job. I made really good money. I was able to buy my first house at 21. I was doing by world standards, I was doing really good. We get married, and next thing you know, I come home and there's new shoes, not my shoes, her shoes, new sweaters and stuff like that. I'm like, baby, you realize
that's his thing. He hates me buying sweaters because we live in Florida.
I'm like, baby, you got 20 sweaters. There's only like 5 cold days in Florida. You don't need 20. But anyway, so that was a new thing for me, was that, everything that I worked for, I saved up for it and spent it on stuff that I wanted to spend on. Now I come home and somebody else is spending my money. So I thought, you know what I mean?
That's
the way you.
That's the mentality.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's the mentality that you have. So there's step one is, hey, guess what? We got to go to Crown Ministries because we got to make sure that was identified a small wedge,
Right.
And it was like, all right, let's start working on this now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the wisdom of having the others. We had a time in our life where every other month we were pulling money out of savings to pay the mortgage, because I left that really good paying job, like I told you years back, because it wasn't God's will. That it had me away from home forever. So, but every other month we were pulling money out of savings to pay the mortgage. I'm like, what's happening here? She's like, oh, you don't make enough money, blah, blah. I'm like, I know I make enough money, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I talked to my dad. I reach out to an elder to help me out, somebody who's already been married for 30, 35 years, 40 years at the time. Dad, what do I do? It's like I try to talk to her and this and that, and then she gets defensive and mad and yells and this and that. And he goes, she's going to have to see it herself. I'm like, what do I do? Wait till we're broke? He goes, if that's what it takes.
Luckily, that did not have to happen.
No, it did not have to happen. But he was 100% correct.
Sure.
So at that point, I just kept praying about it. He that's what he told me. Pray about it and just pray that God will open her eyes and show her what's happening. So prayed about it. And of course, it didn't happen in my time, because my time would have been right then and there. But at his time, she saw it. And it was funny because that was right around the time that Dave Ramsey was coming to Orlando when she realized it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, once it clicked and everything, and I was like, hey, you want to go see Dave Ramsey? She's like, yeah, let's go see Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey teaches the FPU, Financial Peace University.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure.
So we go to see Dave Ramsey. And again, we had some great people who actually bought us tickets. Our parents bought us tickets to go see Dave Ramsey. And we go there and we're listening to Dave Ramsey, and he's saying the exact same stuff that I was saying. I'm like,
He goes, I think I was adopted. I think that's my real dad.
Yo, Dave.
Yeah. So, as we're walking out of Dave Ramsey, I'm like, now, baby, why did we have to have somebody spend this money on these tickets to have a man tell us the exact same thing that I've been saying for the last 2 years? She just looked me in the eyes, nice and calm, and says, well, you ain't worth several $1 million, are you?
Billion.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about.
What can I say but touche?
I can't say I would have had anything myself.
Yeah, but like your father or your grandfather said, that she needs to see it herself, and she did.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Just in that state, that's what I was getting, was you stay focused on God. So my dad told me, he goes, look, there's nothing you're going to do to change her or to have her see it. You've got to focus on Christ. Focus on God, pray to him, and let him work through her.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what ended up happening. Is that once we started praying about it and focusing on it, it came, I didn't do anything about it. I just sat back and didn't do nothing.
You prayed.
I prayed.
Mm-hmm.
That was all that I could do.
Yep.
And it worked. Hi, Tina.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's wonderful to see you.
Thank you. Likewise. I'm so glad you guys are here.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm not the only girl anymore.
Yay.
Yay!
Girl power.
Yay!
Girls are awesome. They are. They us guys think they're complicated. You know what I mean? But when you really look at it, they round us out. You know, they make us whole. Because if it was just a bunch of guys, we'd just be running around killing everybody. Killing each other, and
That's true.
Yeah, everybody'd be fighting all the time.
What does it say early on in the Bible?
Which one? Where at?
Or man, it's not good for man to be alone.
Oh yeah, that's got to be in this book here somewhere. I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, that's in Genesis, in chapter 2.
Oh, yeah.
We were trying to figure out. We were looking back through all these, the 2B1 books, and we were looking back through the Love After Marriage books, and we were like, well, we need to highlight this, we need to highlight that, we need to do this, we do that. And we're like, you know what? And this is, I've been here several times. It's like, we're not going to remember any of that. We're just going to, we'll bring it. And if God puts it on our heart, we're going to find it, So that's what we did.
I've never sat over here before.
Oh man, the funniest part is that, what are you, 6'6"?
6'5".
6'5".
Tina has taken control.
Tina's got it going on.
I've never sat over here before either.
Yeah, you're in the captain's chair.
I know. It feels a little odd.
You're on the bridge.
How's it look How's it look from over there?
It looks nice because you can see everybody. You kind of know everything that's going on. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is super awesome.
So what about this praying with your wife?
That's awkward in the beginning.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is very awkward.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
I've
never done it before because I haven't had a chance to, but I think about it, and I keep telling the guys in my group, I lead a men's group at Real Men for 8 years now, and I just keep telling them, okay, when God brings, I'm going to be coming to you guys and asking, so make sure you take notes.
I always say the first time is like your first kiss. Do I go right? Do I go left? Do I,
How long do I pray?
Yeah, exactly. Do it, so the first time is very, very awkward, very unnatural, basically, because we always think of our relationship with Christ as being just me,
right?
Just my personal relationship.
Sure.
But as husbands, what's our job?
Right.
To pray for our wives, to pray for our kids, to make sure we're to be the spiritual leaders. So it was very unnatural, and we fall in and out of this all the time. Right. There'll be times we have a great run, a great streak, and it's amazing because things start going so much easier.
Right.
And then you're like, I got this, typical guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Oh, we're good.
Sure.
We're good. And you start kind of falling off and only doing it here and there.
That's when the devil comes in and gets you busy. And,
Preach it, girlfriend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. But then you look at each other and you say, well, we haven't prayed together.
Right.
That's it. That's it, exactly. Yep. And we were actually listening to Mac and Chris and talking about the Bibles, all the different Bibles and what to do. Yeah. And that's the one that I asked Sarah to listen to because we're going to get a Bible to do a family study with. Because as the girls get older, they're going to bed later, so we're not always tucking them in because they're going to bed before us as we get older, or they're going to bed after us.
After, yes.
Yeah, as we get older. So I want to make sure that we still have, if we're not tucking them in and praying, then I want to make sure that we have a time together that we can do a study and do some prayer.
Right.
Quick 5-10 minutes. At least start at 5 or 10 minutes, and if we go deeper, if they got more questions, and we can delve into it. But the podcast that you had on the Bibles I listened to it that's the one I listened to 3 times.
Yeah, that blew me away because I didn't know the different types of Bibles and what they were predominantly used for. And Chris really,
he did
opened my eyes to that.
Down,
Yeah, he hammered that one home for sure. So I actually asked Sarah, I was like, hey, can you listen to this one? Because I get busy and I get caught up, and she has a little more spare time than me, a little bit. So I asked her, I was like, hey, can you do a little bit of research on this to figure out and talk with the girls? Because typically if I'm at work, she gets to be home with the girls a little more often, see which one they might be interested in, as far as like the theatrical one I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
That I think the girls might get a kick out of. It might help them understand. So yeah, the praying with each other and the praying, for your family. We have a huge responsibility as the males in the family, and it's not always easy.
No,
it is not.
And you will be held at a higher level,
right?
A judgment.
That's it, and that scared the mess out of me when I started leading men's group. Because all the leaders and teachers will be held to a higher standard.
Yep.
You kind of fought that a little bit too, but
I
God
did.
kept tugging at you. No, this is what I want you to do.
Oh yeah, Dennis and I got a lot in common.
Yeah,
we do. We really do.
We're all going to book appointments and go down. Talk to Dennis about our stuff.
We'll bring him here.
Yeah, let's just bring him here and talk about stuff.
We'll just talk.
That'd be great.
Dennis is giving us thumbs up.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, so there's no secret sauce. There's no magic pill. There's no one way is the right way. Every person's going to be different. But what do we say?
But, there is a secret sauce, I think. Like you set it off. You, as yourself, you put God number one.
Absolutely.
All right. And then the wife, she puts on her side God number one.
Correct.
It makes the triangle.
The point of the triangle, and everything else secondary will just fall into place.
Exactly.
That's it, exactly. Well, if you're truly focusing on God, which we all try to do, but as human beings, we goof that up.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was saying you've got to have that die to self in that communication.
Yep.
Because there's been many times where I've been off and she's called me on it, Sarah's called me on it, and like, hey, what, this wasn't like you, what's going on? And then I realized, wow, that really was off kilter. I've lost sight of Christ. So I need to refocus. I need to take some time and step back and refocus.
Right.
So it's a back and forth. It really is.
But just the fact that you're able to call yourself out, so to speak, on those issues and have that kind of maturity, that speaks volumes to your spiritual maturity.
Well, it does, and I think also, as far as the woman or the wife goes, so long as she realizes that there is a Satan in there that's going to throw a wrench all the time, and and also follow God,
right.
I think that's a good part of the equation.
It is for sure, and that's like we said at the very beginning. That's both being focused on God,
Exactly.
and it's tough. There's easy times, there's hard times, there's good times, bad times. It's always all over the place. But like you were saying, being able to kind of call yourself out, it doesn't always happen, at the drop of a hat.
Sometimes you got to get there.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, on a per basis thing, sometimes she can just say something and I can go, oh yeah. And then other times she can say something, I'll be like, oh, she's just jealous, or she just this, or she just wants that, and she doesn't want me to have this. And it takes several days to realize that.
Well, we have to go through the justification process of the way we feel, and we have to process that and realize that you can't really justify that, and you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's usually what.
And you're right, about 2 or 3 days, we come around.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And then you realize, okay, look, she's not. You have to trust that she's still focused on God,
right? Amen.
And that her actions and her words are not selfish. They're not, biased. They're true.
Right.
She's focusing on God. I've got to focus back on God. I got to quit cutting that corner going, it's her. She's doing this. She wants that. She's doing this.
Sure.
Going, no, she's focusing on God. I got to focus on God. And it's not easy. It's sometimes it is. And most of the time it's not, because we're human. We have our free will. And a lot of times we fall blame to it.
I've had that conversation with the Lord before. I mean, why can't I just be angry?
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yeah.
So you think.
Yeah, exactly. At the moment, maybe.
Yeah. But it disrupts everything in life. It really does.
It really does. I agree with you completely. But yeah, so we do a lot of financial classes too, to help, because it's a big part of it.
Because again, the biggest part of a divorce, or the reason for divorce, is money.
Yeah.
That's it exactly. So I think we've kind of hit just about everything.
This has been an awesome session, man.
Absolutely.
Even we batted a bunch of stuff around and everything, and wow.
And
what
again,
a great show.
Yeah.
We are not marriage counselors.
No.
We are not, by any means certified in anything, just the school of hard knocks. That's it. just going through it, living it. We've had.
I say we can give our testimony. That's about all we're doing.
You guys are good looking, though.
Oh.
She is.
Well,
those must be for distance because you're not seeing a whole lot right here in front of you. Definitely a radio
co-host Ray Flannery. I love it. I love it.
She's good looking.
I think he's cute. That's all that matters.
There you go.
I had to convince her.
I can't say that.
Stop.
Wow.
Be inappropriate.
So you sure you want to think about that and spit it out again?
Well played, Mikey.
Touche.
Hashtag not connecting.
I'm going to have to use that a lot.
Oh, man.
Ray and Sarah, thank you so much for being with us on the show. And just like to welcome my wife to the show. So glad you could make it.
Thank you.
Say hello to everybody. And listen, drop us a line, godstoriesradio@gmail.com. If you've got a testimony, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, godstoriesradiotina@gmail.com. And what else can they do, Mikey?
They can twit us.
They can twit us on Twitter, and make sure you like us on the Facebook so you keep up with us and everything that's going on and all the news, prayer requests, and silly little stuff that can happen on Facebook.
Right. Then they become part of the GSR family.
Amen to that. I want to thank Dennis again for coming out tonight. And we just
Tina has to book him for a testimony.
Yes, he's not getting out of here. He's duct taped to the wall right now.
Yep, we got the door locked.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. That wraps it up for session 228. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tina.
God bless.
God bless.
God bless.